What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be building some X10 Parallel Pros from Easton, and I'm testing a new saw that you're going to want to check out, and we'll see if it's legitimate. We're going to go over the new 4mm components that Easton's offering, build some arrows, bring you along. Here we go. So I ordered these 300 spines. The GPI is 9.5. You see that it comes as shafts, no knocks, no components. So the rest of that is up to us, which I kind of like. First things first is we need to put a knock in it. I'm going to run the IP4 from AEE, and then we're going to get a measurement to figure out where the half out sits over, because again, it's going to slide over. Get that measurement, pull the shaft back, take into account that half out hangover, and get a mark, cut them. We're going to show you how to square them, and we're going to show you how to spin them so that you can get them aligned just so perfectly so they're as true as you want them. And the more details you cover, usually the better groups you'll see downrange. Let's go. So this is the Easton 75 grain. It has a aluminum steel combination. It's got this little orange O-ring type thing to help make sure that it's square and center and lined up. Basically, it's a half out with a built-in collar. There's several different options. We'll go over all of them down the road in this video, but for now, this is the one I'm probably going to run. So we're going to check the fitment. Looks good. Let's silver Sharpie right there and pull this off and see how much that takes up. Pull that out. If you guys can tell, we made a silver Sharpie mark and measured it. 5/8 is what we need to keep in mind when we mark this. So I'm going to throw a knock in, grab my bow, pull it back, have my little assistant, lovely, mark this arrow for me so we know. And I want to cut this thing as short as possible because it'll increase the stiffness. It'll also make it so that I can shoot a faster projectile. I like to run my arrows as short as possible. IP4 knock, like a glove, mark about right in the middle of the shelf. And whatever you mark, I got to keep that in mind as far as the half out sticks out 5/8. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. So guys, if I'm going to cut right there, remember, this is going to end up being about there, which I should be able to get with because you marked it right down the middle. If you didn't mark it down the middle and you marked it closer, you'd have to account for that 5/8. So just know that this slides over the arrow. And again, out of everything when it comes to components, in my personal opinion, some sort of collar is what's going to help you resist impact failure, impact damage. That's where the weakest spot is on the arrow, and obviously Easton knows that, and their engineers thought of this. So we're going to cut it right there. Let's get a measurement on this. And so I'm going to take the knock out to do all my cuts. And I strongly recommend that you do all your cuts carbon to carbon, no knock in. Let's go check out this device here. This is called the Modsaw. They sent it to me to do a video on and test. I think it's important for you guys to know that when somebody sends me something, I did not pay for it. But I also told them I'm free to say whatever I think about it. And they said, that's cool. So when it came out of the package, it was just in a box, like an arrow box. And all these little doodads were slid up in here. So it's kind of a modular system, hence the name. I'll just walk you through some of the things. This is your saw. This is your power button. This is your dust cover. This is where you'll put your power source in. Right over here, you'll want this guy to be about 8 inches away. This will 8 to 9 inches. Right here, the blade will be going this way. You'll be spinning your arrow that way. That's important. So the arrow will be held here. And then there's an indicator here to give you the exact distance. I know my arrow is going to be somewhere right around 25.5. They all slide in this groove. You just can loosen and tighten. So I'm tightening them up right now. Over here, which is part of the process, is these bearings. These bearing posts slide up and down so that you can spin your arrow. And then right here, we'll get you a close-up, but there is a wobble indicator, so you'll be able to put your arrow when you're done cutting it. I'll show you guys, and I'll be able to square it against this sandpaper. This sandpaper you can turn it so that you don't just like square all your arrows on the same piece of sandpaper, and they provide replacement stickers. So this threads out, and you can put a new little circle sandpaper. I don't know the grit. I haven't done an arrow yet. This wobble indicator is super cool because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them, I'm going to square them, and then I'm going to put the Easton component on, not glue it in. I'm going to screw in a broadhead, probably an iron wheel, and I'm going to spin it with that black line indicator. And if I see any wobble, which we will, I will just move the whole component broadhead a quarter turn, and I'll just keep doing that until I find where it's marked, where it's not wobbling, and I'll just use the Sharpie, and that's where I'll hot melt it in, which is pretty cool. And then from there, this little guy, I just slapped it in. It's got a thread for a screw, so I'm going to screw this down to the wood. And then at the very end here, there's 2 more holes to screw it down, and I'm going to do that right now. So this will just keep it pretty stable. Good. She ain't going anywhere. And right here. Oop. Okay, so we're tight. We're good to go. Now, here's one of the coolest features. Right over here is an 1 3/4 hole, and you can attach a shop vac to it, which I'm going to bring my little shop vac cord up here, see how it fits. I don't care if you use duct tape, whatever, but when I turn the saw on, I'm going to turn that shop vac on and suck all that nasty carbon dust into the shop vac and not have a mess on our hands. Should be pretty cool. I think that's creative. He did provide me with a replacement blade, but he made it sound like this blade's going to be really tough to wear out, which we'll find out. Without further ado, this is the Modsaw. Let's cut a dozen arrows. 25 5/8. Beautiful indicator here. Let's see what that looks like on our line. So we're going to be here, and you can see I'm giving myself a little bit of real estate there. Probably could go a little shorter like advertised. I think we're going to stick with that. So this blade's going to go this way, and I'm just going to hold the arrow in the grooves here. And again, remember, we're about 8 inches from the blade with this post, and then I'm going to spin this way while the blade goes the other way. Hopefully that makes sense. On the first one, I'm not going to turn the shop vac on. I want you guys to hear how quiet this saw is. Are y'all ready? So there's our arrow. We're just going to put this on real quick, slap this on before we cut any more arrows, and just make sure I didn't royally screw up. How's it look, Jeff? How much real estate? We've got plenty of real estate. Plenty. I could have cut it shorter, right?
Yes. You're hanging off of your riser a little bit.
Okay. I'm going to take advantage of that information, and I'm going to cut it shorter because I want to make this as light as possible. And the current arrows I'm running are Easton Axis long range 4mm match grade. That's a mouthful. And they're at 9.4. So I really want this arrow as light as possible. And I could have gone to 340 spines, but generally I spine down just to be safe. All right, guys, we went with 25 1/4. Saw is on. Everything's tight. We'll do one more check because we have a dozen of these to cut. Hopefully I didn't get too greedy there. Perfecto. Beautiful. We're going to cut them, and then we'll come back here in a second and we'll show you our squaring process, and then we'll geek out on all the components that Easton came out 2024, which will be cool. Pull that out. Rest in peace to that O-ring. It's already gone. They're probably not meant to be doing that, but it's all right for the video. And just for S&Gs, let's weigh this arrow without anything on it yet. So 236 plus a knock plus a 75 grain component. So here is your saw. This is your battery bank. This is where the power goes in. This is going to be where you're going to square your arrows. So you can loosen this tab and rotate inside here is your sandpaper basically, and you can kind of keep adjusting it or screw that, take it all the way out and replace it with brand new sandpaper. These are the bearings. So you have an arrow spinner right here. When it's time to square these arrows, which we're at that step now, I'm going to loosen and I'm going to put this all the way up against and tighten. Pretty easy to use, and that'll help us get a good square. This is, like I said, about 8 inches from the blade. This post will help stabilize the arrow as you cut it. Right here is a middle peg. This is kind of like the center balance point to just keep it sturdy. You got your measuring tape, and then down here, this is your other bearing. It slides as well. It's modular. You can loosen it and slide it just to accommodate your arrow size. And then right here is the end piece where your arrow will go. Take your knock out, and there's a little indicator to the exact measurement. We'll get you a tight of that so that you are precise. And these tighten and loosen. So give me a top view of that and a top view of this close black line. I'm going to give you some light. You guys can tell I silver sharpied all the way around here, and I'm going to sandpaper the silver Sharpie off. You don't have to do that. I like to do that. I'm going to loosen this and slide it all the way against there. I'm going to sandpaper or rotate the arrow. I got my sandpaper tight, and I'm going to spin the arrow this way. So right now I'm squaring after we cut. It's a very important process. It's kind of nice that this is all in one. I didn't have to buy a separate tool like from G5. I just silver sharpied it, and I'm just getting off the little silver sharpie, making sure it's really square. The next step will be to spin test it with the components we're going to use. That'll ensure no wobbles. We'll do it with a broadhead. I'll show you. It is awesome. This is just a couple steps you can take to really ensure that you're making your arrows the best that they can be. These are the X10 Parallel Pros. They got rid of the Pro comps. Basically, they just migrated to this. So this is like a high-strength fiber bonded to a 7075 alloy. So you kind of got carbon and aluminum. This is the arrow that wins all the tournaments worldwide, and you can cross over and hunt with it. And it's got the tightest tolerances when it comes to spine. So that's kind of what you're getting for when you invest in X10 Parallel Pros. And I'm definitely going to give them a shot. I might hunt with them. I'm definitely going to go with these or the Easton Axis long range. So the cool thing, made in USA, and I don't know any other arrow company that can say that. Made in America. America. All right, guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set this up where I can go here.
Nice.
And then what I can do is show you guys, I'm going to spin test it. If I don't like it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to rotate the arrow right here.
That's definitely wobbly.
So then we take this and we spin it. All right, guys, so we've done a lot at this point. Let's finish building this arrow. So you see I silver sharpied. I need to hot melt this bad boy in. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it out. So we're gonna hot melt with the no more torch. Mix it too hot, no more gas. We're gonna go back to the old electric heat gun. We're gonna crank it up. This is the 75. So what we're looking at is mostly aluminum with the steel right here for your collar. The 55 grain, all aluminum, hence the weight. The 100, mostly steel with some titanium, 100 grains. I like the materials. And then you have the 150 for maybe your traditional, or maybe some guys that are like heavy arrows, 150 all steel. So we're gonna heat this bad boy up. Try not to melt your silicone O-ring that centers it. Oh yeah, like a glove. That's arrow elegance. That's arrow magic. That is a sense of pride. Like you're doing everything you can to make your arrows money, dude. We elected to use the 75 grain 4mm half out option from Easton. Again, we hot melted it. That allows us to index. We indexed, made sure our arrows were spitting true. So recapping, cut them with the new Modsaw. Then we squared them. Then we did the wobble test and made the adjustments. It's pretty good steps. So here we have this all set up. This is mostly aluminum with a steel collar, all in one system. The 55 grainer, again, is all aluminum. The 100 option is steel with the titanium collar, which is a great option. And then the 150, all steel, hella heavy. Y'all, if you're into that, that's totally cool. You have the option. We're gonna throw the knocks in. These are the IP4s from AEE. Huge fan, need a couple. Nick from AEE, I'm getting low. Hint, hint. You got my credit card on file. And don't recommend that. All right, let's get this fletched up. We're not gonna run a wrap on this one. We're just gonna go straight up. 2 white, AE hybrid, HPs, high profile. Yes, I buy them by the 500. And a yellow. No primer pin needed because they're hybrids. Let's get them fletched. Yellow will be my hack vein. And then we'll get a weight on this bad boy. It's a good looking arrow. Slap this bad boy on. Let's get a total arrow weight. Look at that. Okay. 463. And then if I elected to run this 55 grain half out, it'll drop us down to 436, which is a pretty good spot too. So I don't know, man. I didn't want to be in the 460s if I'm being a little complainer. Right now I'm kind of complaining because this arrow right here is what I've been running and shooting consistently, and it's at 447. If I'm gonna run 2 sight tapes, it's gonna be because there's a significant difference. But I can still do that. We'll see. The X10s are obviously the best arrow in the entire world. So it's up to you guys to see if like what you want to run. I definitely want to test them. If I'm shooting tighter groups with the X10, I'm probably going to roll with it. The titanium is what I'm running right here on this half out. Easton still makes that. But if you want to do this new sweet collar system, you're gonna have to go with aluminum to stay at the same weight or bump up to that aluminum steel, which is what I elected to do. And if you're not worried, bump up to that 100 steel and titanium combo, or ball hard and go 150 all steel. So guys, that's my new arrow build. We introduced you to the saw. We're just doing a little tinkering. Figured you guys would have liked this. Maybe you learned something. Separations in the preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.